answer my questions and yours. We have Monique McGrant with McGrant Tax Filing and Bookkeeping. It is great to have you here, Monique. I know that you're going to answer all the questions that we get in our Facebook comment section. So we are about a month out from when that deadline is. And I want to start off with something that has been in the headlines a lot. So we have that tax filing backlog. I know that there are millions of tax returns that have been piled up, and the IRS is actually hiring more workers to assist in relieving that load. Walk me through the importance of filing early this year, if you'll consider it early at this point, and how long it may take to get your return.
Well, it is important to file early this year. As you said, we are almost a month away from the deadline. This year, the deadline is April 18th, but it is important that you file earlier than later. Just because the IRS does have that backlog from 2020, they're trying to get everything pushed out for 2021 so that they can attack the backlog that they have currently. Make sure that you have all of your pertinent income documents, your W-2s, 1099s, all of the forms that you need to file your taxes so that it can be complete and you can have a refund delivered to you within the 21-day time frame that they allot.
Monique, before I get to my next question, I just want to let everybody know who's watching on the WBTV News app. Maybe you're watching on Facebook Live. If you have a question about filing your taxes this year, be sure to go to our Facebook page, the WBTV Facebook page. Ask that question in the comments section. I have my digital producer monitoring the comments section. I'll be looking at it as well and then relaying that question to Monique. So we want to make sure that we are getting you ready for this upcoming tax filing season. We are about a month out until that deadline. So please be sure to utilize this free resource and ask your questions in the comment section. And Monique is ready to go. Meantime, while we are waiting for people to chime in and ask their questions, Monique, I have a few questions on my own. So we are talking about a CBS News report, some worry among taxpayers about possibly getting smaller checks than what they got last tax filing season from the IRS. What should you do if you are unable to pay that tax bill?
If you're unable to pay your tax bill, the IRS does offer payment plans.
Okay.
So you can set up a payment arrangement with the IRS to make payments on your tax bill. You do not have to pay everything up front. There will be penalty and interest assessed as long as you have a balance with the IRS. But instead of getting garnished or having your paycheck levied, it's best to set up a payment arrangement with the IRS to tackle that debt that you have.
And that's key here. You do not want to collect that interest. However, there are resources in order to be able to pay in increments. Is that something that you can find on the IRS's website?
It is also on the IRS website. If you go to the irs.gov and just click in payment arrangement, it'll come up and it'll give you steps to either do it online or send in an application to do it that way.
Okay, Monique, speaking of resources made available by the IRS, I understand that they have resources available to help you file those taxes if you make a certain amount in a year.
Yes, if you make under a certain amount per year, I'm not sure on the exact number, but if you have a simple return and make under a certain amount per year, you're able to file your return free on the IRS website.
Okay.
They also have affiliate websites that you can use also, but you do have to meet a certain criteria to get those free services.
And don't quote me on this, I checked last night, I believe it's $75,000 or less a year. But you should certainly look into those details as far as if there are any other requirements that you will have to meet before you receive those free services. I'm looking down at my notes here because our digital producer is monitoring the comments, so we're getting a couple of questions, Monique. This one is from Renee Palermo, who asks, why are you, so maybe she's asking about that backup that we have been seeing. When does the IRS plan to catch up? So I know that you can't speak on behalf of the IRS, but in terms of when people can expect to receive that tax return, if you would be able to answer that again, because I think she joined us a little late.
Got you. No problem. Yeah, the backlog with the IRS is very thick and lengthy. Right now, they do say that you can expect your refund within 21 days as long as you have everything together and in order for 2021. The backlog for 2020 will take some time. There is no time frame for that, but hopefully within the next 6 to 12 months, they can get it cleared out.
All right, Monique, I'm going to pull up one of my questions as we wait for some more questions to come in the comments section. So,
Alrighty.
how do you set up a payment plan? I know that we talked about this. You know, I'll skip over that one because it kind of refers back to being able to pay that tax bill in increments if you are unable to pay the bill as you do file your taxes this year. But you can go to the IRS to be able to do that, by the way. Monique and I talked about that minutes ago. Let's talk about stimulus payments, child tax credits. We know that there are some changes to the unemployment benefits people received this past year. So I want to start off with the child tax credit. We have a specific question from Brandy Carpenter Rhodes. So with regards to the child tax credit, can we use one per child in the filing process? So I'm assuming that she has more than one child, and then she asks if it's really $8,000 per child, or if you're able to use specific places, is what she calls it, for your child care. Because I think she further elaborates saying that her child goes to a dance studio for after school care and tutoring. And so does that qualify, is what she's asking.
The child tax credit, she's actually speaking in regards to the dependent care credit, which is two different things.
Okay.
So the dependent care credit, that does go on a separate form that is not attached to the child tax credit. And that is up to $3,000 per child that credit is for.
All right. So hopefully Brandy was able to hear your response on that. We do have a couple more questions here, so let's take a look. I am going to take a look at some of my notes. So stimulus payments. I know that there was stimulus payments that we have gotten reports about people receiving in the early stages of the pandemic. However, most recently, this past year, I know that some people said that they received a note from the IRS about those stimulus payments, but maybe did not get a check. Walk me through the process of maybe notifying the IRS about that to either A, get a payment on the back end, or what you should do in a situation like that.
In a situation like that, it's best to contact the IRS so that they can do an investigation. Oftentimes, that's when you have direct deposit information that becomes invalid once the payment was sent out. And so then a check was issued. The IRS doesn't forward any government mail, or the post office doesn't forward any government mail. So if you moved within that time frame and the check got sent back, it's still saying that you received it because they haven't received it back and went through the process of showing that it's returned. So you would need to contact the IRS, have them do an investigation, and once they see that the check or the payment has been returned, they will reissue it.
And I know that there are some changes. So stimulus payment wise, you're saying that the IRS should be able to send it to you on the back end if you did not receive it, but you got a letter in the mail. Because I know I've heard from a few people saying that they got a letter in the mail about those stimulus payments. For those who did get the check, is that taxable?
It's absolutely not taxable.
Okay. And there are some changes though. So I want to re-emphasize what you just said. The stimulus payment is not taxable. The child tax credit?
It's not taxable.
Not taxable. Okay, so the stimulus payment and then your child tax credit, both not taxable. However, there is a change to your unemployment benefits if you did receive it in the past year. So I'm going to let you take it away on those changes because that's a big change from what we saw at the start of the pandemic.
Yes, at the start of the pandemic, we saw people who've had unemployment benefits during the year, they were able to have a portion of it reduced as taxable. So this year, that allowance does not exist. And so oftentimes when individuals sign up for unemployment, they don't have the benefits taxed. And so that creates them a higher tax liability on their tax return. So this year we have seen a lot of people come in that had unemployment benefits that were not taxed. They do not get that exception this year to have any of the benefits reduced. And so they are receiving a lower tax refund this year because of that.
I have another question here, Monique. This one is from Josh Miller, who is asking, are we getting more stimulus this year?
I know there are talks in the works for a fourth stimulus. The bill has not been passed. The IRS hasn't decided on anything. So as of right now, everything is still preliminary for a fourth stimulus.
All right, and we do have another question here from a Sherry Coast, it looks like, saying that they did not report the third stimulus they received, and they think that's connected to a delay in getting that money back from the IRS. So I think that one thing that we should clarify, do you need to report the stimulus if it's not taxable, first of all?
Absolutely, you do, because if you're eligible for it and you didn't receive it, you can claim it on your 2021 tax return.
Okay, so if you're eligible and you didn't receive it, you can claim it on that tax return. As far as Sherry's question here, saying that she accidentally did not report the third stimulus she received, believing that's connected to the delay she's currently experiencing. Could you verify that? And do you have details as far as what could be happening in her case?
Anytime you submit your tax return with incomplete information, it will cause a delay. So in saying that you didn't receive the stimulus, it will cause a delay because the IRS is trying to research everything that is tied to your social that was sent out or paid out previously. So right now she would have to wait and contact the IRS or see if she can go on irs.gov to get my payment and claim for the stimulus payment that way.
Monique, I want to just pause for a moment and do a last call for questions. So we are inching closer to that 9 o'clock hour. Want to ask for anyone who is interested in getting free tax questions answered right now from an expert. We are talking with Monique McGrant. She is with McGrant Tax and Bookkeeping, the accounting firm here in Charlotte, and she has been answering questions in our Facebook comment section. I've been asking my questions also. So if you have any questions you'd like answered before you file your taxes, feel free to drop those questions in the comment section. Meantime, I want to ask you about maximizing your tax refund. So for those who have not filed yet this year, any advice on ways to maximize that process? I know that life changes like marriages could make a difference.
Yes, absolutely. Any life changes that you've experienced last year, just know that it will impact your tax situation for 2021. But also just to maximize your refund, make sure you have all of your documents. It's very imperative that you have all of your documents when you file your taxes. That way you're allotted to all of the credits and payments that you're supposed to have. Without all of your tax documents, your refund will not be correct. And so your tax return is inaccurate, which also causes delays. So it's very imperative to make sure you have all of your financial documents to maximize your refund when you file your taxes.
All right, and I'm looking down at the comments. Looks like we are not getting any questions at this time. So going to get ready to wrap up. I do want to ask you about the possibility of an extension. So deadline to file your taxes coming up on a month, April 18th. We've experienced some grace from the IRS the past few years getting that extension. Do you think that's possible this year?
Absolutely. The IRS always grants you an extension as long as you file for one, and it grants you a 6-month extension. So you're able to do an extension on April the 18th to get an extension until October 15th, to file that tax return. It does not waive any penalty and interest that's due on a balance that you have, but it does give you time to prepare your tax return and get it to the IRS.
And for those people who are not early birds, like myself, who have not filed yet, do you have any last pieces of advice?
Don't feel bad. I'm a last minute person too. Guess what? I haven't done my taxes. I'll probably do an
That makes me
extension
feel better.
myself. If it makes you feel any better, I'm last minute this year also. So yeah, just make sure you compile all of your documents. I can't stress that enough. Make sure you see a tax professional if you have any doubts in preparing your taxes yourself or need any assistance. And that's the best way to get through this tax season this year.
All right, Monique, thank you so much. Anything else that you'd like to add?
This year also, there's a lot of people who have to verify their identities through the IRS. So once you get those IRS identify me letters, just make sure you read it. It's very simple. It's easy to do. You can verify your identity in one of three ways, either online, over the phone, or in person. But that's very imperative that you verify your identity so that your 2021 return is processed and you can receive your refund this year.
All right, Monique McGrant with McGrant Tax and Bookkeeping. It's great to have you here for this live conversation.
Thank you,
For
Abby.
answering my questions and answering our viewers' questions also.
Thank you.